this is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and finally we get the Sony Xperia Z1 in the US in the form of the Z1S on T-Mobile, just released by T-Mobile a couple of months after the international release. It's pretty much the same phone you're looking at, just with T-Mobile bands, 4G LTE. Beautiful phone. Glass on the back, black, classy looking, waterproof, and we're going to look at it now. So here it is, finally in the US, the Sony Xperia Z1S. This is Sony's latest flagship, top-of-the-line model for non-phablet kind of things. There's a Z Ultra for those of you who like the 6-inch and above kind of experience. This is a 5-inch smartphone running the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 quad-core CPU, 2.2 gigahertz. Currently, that's as good as you can get, and the top phones are running that, like the LG G2 as well. 2 gigs of RAM inside, 32 gigs of storage. And one thing that sets it apart from, say, Samsung Galaxy phones and some others, the LG G2, in fact, is it's kind of classier looks. It's really going head-to-head with some of the HTC One with its beautiful aluminum design. Here we have the all-glass look. Now, we saw that first on the Xperia Z, so the Z1 carries on that heritage. Black glass on the back here. I haven't heard about people having too much trouble with theirs. I still have an Xperia Z, and it has not cracked or died in any way. I'm fairly careful with my phone, but still. Sides get a little bit of a chrome treatment over here, and this is waterproof and dust resistant, just like the Xperia Z and overseas Z1. That's why we have these little doors here. They're covering all the ports to keep water out. So they don't just mean a little splash of water won't hurt it, though yes, you can splash it with water. You can actually put it in a glass of water and it'll still work. So Sony's promoting underwater photography. Keep in mind, same thing with the Samsung Galaxy S4 Active, capacitive screens really don't work underwater. They're confused by the water. So you're going to have to use the dedicated shutter button to take pictures, and you're going to want to set whatever settings you want for your camera first before you go ahead and shoot the goldfishies when you go swimming off some coral reef somewhere. Taking a look at the sides here, this is our volume rocker. Power button, Sony's new little metal disc design they use on pretty much everything nowadays. This door here is where your standard micro SIM card goes. Up top we have the headphone jack just about at center. That's a little bit different from the international Z1 non-S version. This side, a bunch more little doors. Right over here we have the micro USB port. And it supports USB host, by the way. And the next door is our micro SD card slot right there. This is for the optional magnetic desktop dock right there. And down here is your large speaker grill. Now, just as we noted with the Xperia Z, when you waterproof a speaker and put a membrane over it, it just isn't quite as loud. So the speaker on this is not wildly loud. And then we have the little charm holder holes over here. On the back, like I said, lovely glass, just available in black from T-Mobile. You don't have the color options that we've seen in some other Xperia Z models. We have the nice camera right here. This is Sony G lens here, and this is f2.0 fast camera on the back, 20.7 megapixel Sony Exmor RS sensor. So this is one of the best cameras you're going to get on Android, if not the best. And happily, it still looks like a nice 0.34-inch thin phone. Weighs 5.71 ounces. It's a little bit bigger, say, than the Samsung Galaxy S4. The footprint is just a bit bigger. But other than that, it's certainly very compact. And if we compare it to something like the Samsung Galaxy Zoom, which would be 16 megapixel trying to compete with it, but it has a hardware zoom lens, you can see the difference. I'll whip that out right now. So here we have it with the Galaxy S4 Zoom right here, which obviously has a smaller footprint, 4.3-inch display, but when you turn them around, well, just look at that. Yes, you do get a hardware zoom on this, which is pretty darn nice. As you can see, it's 10x zoom, but much bulkier. This looks funny when you hold it against your head. This one doesn't, so that stands in Sony's favor for people who value photography but still want it to look, feel, and act like a phone. You'll notice the difference in the screens. Now, the Sony has a lovely 1920 by 1080 triluminous display. That's their word for very pretty displays with very high color saturation. But you can see the Samsung has a bit more brightness and contrast, relatively speaking. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We picked on the Sony Xperia Z, the first generation of this, for having not the best viewing angles. And you can see it fades a bit. But you know what? Honestly, it's not that horrible. And the colors are beautiful on this. And it really shines when you're doing things like watching movies on this. lovely display, super great color saturation. Their mobile Bravia engine, their X reality option that you can turn on, just brings up the contrast and the luminance and stuff. So I'm not going to pick on this as much as some others have. Now, it's going to be up to you. If you're the person who mostly just looks at their own phone themselves, you're never really going to have a problem with it. Even if it's on your desk, you can still read it just fine. At this angle, you can see things on this screen, right? But if you often share with other folks and the both of you watch a movie together, for example, then it might not be the ideal phone for you, because you will see some loss of contrast as you turn the phone. But, you know, overall, like I said, for those of us who mostly use our phones just ourselves, it's really a lovely full HD display. Now, for those who have the original Xperia Z, that's right here. You can see slight difference in size. Both of these have 5-inch displays, but the Z1S is a little bit taller. In fact, the Z1S is a little bit taller than the Z1 International version. Go figure. Other than that, pretty much the same approach to things. They both have the nice glass back on them. They're both slim phones. Now, some of your screen real estate is taken up by the on-screen buttons here. This does not have capacitive buttons nor clicky buttons. You have your home, back, and multitasking buttons as an overlay on the screen here. And they will appear as little, they can disappear, but they'll be like little dots as placeholders when you're in applications. On board, we have a very clean, relatively speaking, version of Android. If you're coming from something like the Samsung Galaxy anyway, it's going to seem very clean to you. It's Android 4.3, and Sony promises an upgrade to 4.4. And you can see here's an easy customization. You swipe in from the side and you can uninstall apps, you can change the order, you can sort by most used or downloaded apps. Hit the Play Store, go to Sony Select, which of course they would love you to do, to go buy stuff from them. Speaking of Sony, the Sony applications are on here. We have their Walkman, their album, which is their photo viewer, their movie players. I actually like those quite a lot, and they find DLNA and network volumes right away. It's very easy to use. So for those of you who have media servers on your home network, you're going to like that, because you don't need to install any third-party software to pull up movies, videos, photos, you know, all that kind of stuff. So this is what their video player looks like, and you can see that they would love you to use Sony's Video Unlimited service on here. In fact, they have a promo going, at least for the first month or so. This is available on T-Mobile, where you can get 10 movies, including a fairly new movie, Captain Phillips, for free included. So you can see all the stuff that, of course, that they would like you to buy, or stuff that you can download because they've given it to you. You got your own videos over here as well. And to test out the screen, we're going to use their Bravia 4K, meant for Bravia TV test file, just so we get an idea. And you can see that the processor is certainly strong. It can handle 4K video playback, no problem. And honestly, it is a pretty display. And you can hear the speakers. Right now we're about 70% volume. It's not wildly loud. Sound through headphones, though, really, really good. Sony's Walkman Heritage shows there. We also have PlayStation Mobile on here, and this has a companion application. It can work with your PlayStation 4 if you have one. They actually have a promotion going where you can get a $100 gift card if you buy a PlayStation 4 and one of these phones within a month of each other. And here's some PlayStation games that I've actually downloaded. So if you own a Vita, these are going to look familiar, these titles right here. And a couple of them, well, they're available on Google Play as well, like Chaos Rings, a fun RPG game. So you've got that experience, which is pretty neat. And you can look at your achievements for your PlayStation account, too, using the PlayStation application on the device. All the standard Google apps are here, of course. And we've got some T-Mobile apps, account management, caller ID demo on here. I think that's a monthly pay-for service. T-Mobile TV, for those of you who want streaming TV. Of course, you can put Netflix on here and other services as well. Weather channel is preloaded. Facebook is preloaded. Twitter was not preloaded. I put that on there. They also have a file manager preloaded on here, File Commander, which is pretty darn capable. So you can see it can sort through just videos, music, pictures, downloads, or you can look at each volume, cloud storage services too, and a quick link to the Oxford Dictionary for those of you who need to look up words. And so far as other Android UI customizations, there really aren't too many. They have a couple of widgets here for access to the photos you've taken recently. The camera with the different modes. We'll talk about the camera a little bit more, but that's pretty neat. You got one with the special effects on there. You've got one that's sort of augmented reality, also works with 3D and 2D barcodes for scanning, that sort of thing. Music playback control is pretty standard stuff. And if you want to delete an application from your home screen, the trash can appears, opens up. So, pretty light customization, pretty tasteful. I actually like it a lot. Now, for data speeds, this has 4G LTE on T-Mobile's network, and we happen to be in the Dallas area where they have wideband LTE instead of the usual 20 megahertz of spectrum. They've got 20 plus 20 because they've rolled in the Metro PCS spectrum that they purchased. So that's why you see right here, close to a tower, that insane download number, 100.97 megabit per second down, 27.87 up. Wow, nobody is going to beat that. Right now, this is the only city with wideband LTE. They will be bringing it to a couple of other cities. And here we go, not really right next to the T-Mobile store or tower. Still very good speeds that are competitive with or exceeding by a little bit AT&T, who tends to have the best LTE service here otherwise, and beating Verizon right now. Now, if T-Mobile keeps gaining subscribers with their crazy jump plan and their no contract and everything else, we could see some network degradation, but they've still got spectrum to build out, so hopefully that will hold up, and I can say, at least in our area, very, very good. Now, nationally, they don't have the footprint that AT&T and Verizon have. You'll find some dead spots, especially in rural areas, but they do have some pretty good roaming agreements, particularly with AT&T. I haven't had a problem with it, to be honest, and I've taken this to the woods of Cape Cod and all sorts of other places, and generally speaking, not a problem. Now, how about synthetic benchmark performance? You can see right here, this is 3D Mark, and this is the results that we have, 16,135 on the unlimited test. It was too fast for the 3D Mark Ice Storm Extreme test, so it says maxed out. So it's very respectable and on par with other Android smartphones running the same 2.2 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 CPU, whether it be the latest Samsung Galaxy phone or the LG G2, you get the idea. Right now, it's as fast as any phone on the market that you're going to pay top dollar for. Or in the case of T-Mobile, generally speaking, zero down. Quadrant, 21,589. SunSpider using Chrome web browser, 837. Not the best number, not the worst number we've seen. That's kind of middle of the road for the fastest phones with SunSpider. Generally speaking, Chrome isn't the fastest browser. The old WebKit browser is. That is not installed on our device here, though. Call quality in the phone for us has been quite good. Some people have been worried because this is waterproof and your earpiece has a membrane over it and all that kind of thing, that call quality won't be good for us. Very good and clear incoming and outgoing voice with average volume. Battery life has also been quite good. Yeah, it should be. 3,000 milliamp battery sealed inside. You can't get it out of this phone. That's a big battery for a 5-inch display, and that CPU, which is actually a pretty power-frugal CPU given its speed. I have found no way to kill this in a day of use. You probably could if you use it as a GPS for the entire day. You watch HD streaming movies all day long. Sony says it's good for almost 7 hours of HD video playback. That's pretty darn good, and 600 hours of standby and lots and lots of music playback time. In a mix of use, phone calls, streaming some Netflix on this, wireless web data, email, that kind of thing. Really, I have always had at least 30% left at night when I put it on the charger, and that's starting the day at 8 a.m. So, good stuff there. Phone has the usual dual-band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, it has a GPS with GLONASS, and it also has NFC. On the front, we have a 2-megapixel camera capable of shooting 1080p video, but you'll most likely use it for video chat, be it Google Talk or Skype. Better than average resolution there, just like the other top smartphones on the market, and it's delivered pretty sharp and clear video chat video. But one of the stars is certainly the camera on this, and this is the one camera buffs are interested in because it looks like a phone, but it has a very high resolution, larger than average sensor size camera, 20.7 megapixels again. And here's the camera UI. It's full of all sorts of stuff. They have the Intelligent Auto Plus mode there. If you've used Sony cameras, you're familiar with that. Flash on and off. You can choose whether you're going to shoot video or photo. Obviously, you can shoot full 1080p video. There we've got a shot of the last thing that we've taken. We can switch front and back cameras, and we can get to more settings here. Now, there aren't going to be a lot of settings right now because we're in Intelligent Auto mode. It takes care of everything for you. You can smile shutter, face registration, where photos are saved to. So You can tap to focus. Picture taking times are very quick with this. We'll just move it a little bit so we can get more of the toy in. Tap to focus, which you don't really have to do, but we don't even have a whole lot of light here right now. So for those of you who like the Lumia but aren't so thrilled with the fact that it has long shot times, this is going to please you a lot. Now let's take it off Intelligent Auto so we can see some of the other modes that are here. You can see we have manual, which is something you might want to use in low light. Intelligent Auto often does a nice job. It gets better than average colors, but it can be a little bit noisy. So you can go for manual if you want. You've got time shift burst mode over here. Augmented reality effects, picture effects. You've got the background blur, the sweeping panorama. The background defocus makes it look more like a nice high-end digital SLR photo. Say if you're taking a macro shot of a flower, you want to ensure that everything in the background is blurry. You've got it right there. So it's pretty easy, and they give you an explanation, which is also nice. So for those of us who are not super duper smart photographers, it tells you what actually all these things are going to do. And again, a feature that I like is the 3D, 2D barcode reader on this. So you don't have to install some third-party application if you just want to read barcodes with this or get further information about some product that you're looking at. So let's take a look at the photos and see how they actually came out. We have a bunch of sample photos. Indoor, extremely low light shot. You can see a lot of color and a lot of detail there. Actually, the noise levels are not that bad. Keyboard cover for the blind on a Mac there. We can see lots of detail of the little other extra things that are on the desk there. Outdoor shot in pretty good light. Nice and sharp, handles the silver and the reflections very nicely. Again, good detail. Outdoors, really, Intelligent Auto just gets it right every time. Indoor shot, not much light, lot of detail on the leaves here, a lot of good color. Slight maybe overexposure on some surfaces here, but overall, really, really nice shot. Lots of detail on the plant. Zoom in and you see it still looking good. And while we're in gallery, we're just going to look at some very pretty and saturated images so you can get an idea of how good the display looks when you're looking at it head on. Just a pretty picture right there. That's what I'm using for my desktop, the crazy realistic Mario. Really nice color saturation, nice luminosity. That's a sample color saturated video they have. So you get the idea. It's a nice enough display too. So now we're playing Dead Trigger 2, a game that I'm not really good at controlling, so forgive me here, but really pretty graphics on this, demanding game. Thank God I've gotten myself a gun already. Looks great, plays very nicely. So the Xperia Z1S has some competition on T-Mobile. You got the LG G2, the Samsung Galaxy S4, the Note 3 for you folks who want phablets. That's a different class of device. I won't include it so much here. The HTC One. What does the Xperia have going for it? Well, it's one of the classier looking phones compared to some of those plastic phones on the market. It's also one of the newest kids on the block. So if you're looking for that fast CPU, it's got that going for it. And the camera. Obviously, if you're really into photography, this one's very attractive for the camera. It's certainly going to beat the HTC One in terms of number of pixels and in terms of overall image quality. If you're going to use it anything other than small image sizes for social networking, you're going to appreciate the high resolution camera on this, and it does beat out even the Galaxy S4 when it comes to photography. So there you have it. If you're looking for the latest and greatest smartphone on the market that's running Android right now and with the best camera in a still normal smartphone form factor, it's the Xperia Z1S. And for those of you who are plumbers, swimmers, prone to accident types, the fact that it's waterproof and dust resistant is also very attractive. So that's the Sony Xperia Z1S, available now on T-Mobile in the US. And you people overseas who are watching, you already can get the Z1 most likely yourself. Really a very lovely phone, and with T-Mobile's pricing, it's pretty affordable too. $528 full retail, or of course they have their zero down and their monthly payment plans, $22 a month I think it is for 2 years, and You can use Jump and all that kind of thing and upgrade in 6 months if you're tired of it. But of course, Sony hopes that you won't be. And it's a very nice phone, so maybe you'll keep it for your full 2 years. Who knows? I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full review and subscribe to our YouTube channel.